Hello, my name is Anthony Gibbs, and I've posted today to attempt to give a brief rebuttal to comments heard by or made by Rush Limbaugh today um, in regard, especially to this notion. He had said something that really kind of bothered me. I don't know, wrinkled me, but this notion of we're trying. He said we're trying to stop America. I'm gonna quote him as best I can here. I don't have it exactly, but we're trying to stop America from becoming something it was never meant to be. And so at first I heard this, I was like, another thing Rush might say. But then I gave that thought. I gave that a lot of thought. And the truth of the matter is, who the hell knows what the hell the founding fathers really intended it to become? Like the nature of America is that it mutates as the world turns. That's why we have the Age of Jackson, Civil War, Civil Rights Movement. America changes as time changes. That's how it's always been. Like the War of 1812, that changed our country in significant ways. And by 1812, a lot of the founding fathers were dead or they were not in control. So, I guess my point is that they didn't allow women to vote up until 1919. So that means that the founding fathers, if the country was to be as they wanted it, women would never have a voice. Black people were not allowed to vote and could be enslaved if in certain areas where slavery was permitted. So the fact that I can vote, by its very nature, means that the country is not as the founding fathers intended. They did not intend for me to have a voice. Another example, what the founding fathers didn't intend on, but what it became. Well, you had an argument between Hamilton and between, I believe it was Jefferson, over the notion of what makes the economy. Would it be the agrarian model by the South, or would it be northern bankers to do it? Washington chose the bankers. He chose Hamilton. So what does that mean? That means that this led to civil war because, I'll show you the book here. As it was stated in the as it was stated in this book, Knights of the Golden Circle, which I've discussed in earlier talk with a group of secessionists, arch secessionists slash filibusterers, and essentially they were unhappy with the government since the 1830s, and I'm pretty certain that a fair amount of that might have been over the way the economy was handled. And they were unhappy to the point where they started a war. So what does that tell us? What it tells us essentially is that the notion of the founding fathers and their vision somehow should have prevailed up until now is ludicrous. It was trotted out by politicians and demagogues to whip up the masses to make them feel a certain way about something, because that's the only way that it makes sense, is in that type of in that state of emotional logic. Because if you look at history, if you look at what really happened and what's been happening, what continues to happen, America evolves as the world evolves. And the founding fathers made up rules and guidelines to anticipate this. America is a product of the Enlightenment. America is a product of the notion that every person has worth and dignity. And that's why in this country you see movements to allow everyone to vote and for everyone to have the same rights as everybody else, because they think that's the nature of America. And our founding fathers made an imperfect union and even said they did. I think if anything, the founding fathers might be very proud of us for continuing to evolve with the times using the Enlightenment principles of humanism, fair play, of equal benefits under the law for all, for kings and princes to not be able to control our lives, for clergy to not be able to control our lives. Now, those principles we've held to. And I think that the founding fathers would be much more happier about that. They would be behind some stuff like who's a citizen and who's not. Or behind, we must close our borders off because we're too scared, or we're going to become something totally different, so therefore we must, no. The founding fathers were not about limiting. They're about expansion. So Mr. Limbaugh and others of your ilk, the America that you think the founding fathers intended to have is merely a reflection of what you think America should be. And you trot out the founding fathers in order to justify your racism and your xenophobia. And I'm not throwing stones. I'm from Detroit. I'm a racist too. Not all of my views are PC or savory for 2015. So I'm not throwing stones. But I'm just saying that it is what it is. And in this case, that's what's going on. A lot of xenophobia, a lot of fear. But I won't stand here and allow folks to use founding fathers justify their xenophobia or justify their fear. They might have been slave-holding bastards, racists, whatever. But one thing they were was brave, and by their nature, they were about the expansion of mind, soul, and ideas. Washington did indeed release all of the slaves upon his death, because he probably realized that keeping folks enslaved was not the nature of America. Anyway, I'm going to go now because the producers say it's time to go. So goodbye, and have a good holidays.